Thank you so much for joining us today. It's such a pleasure to be here. It's so nice to see everyone back after our short hiatus. My name is Liz Solkin, and I just want to welcome you all to the Sustainability Laboratories Conversation Series. I really am so pleased to be here today. It's shaping up to be a really fantastic conversation. Today, it is my absolute privilege to introduce to you Mindahi Bastida. Mindahi Bastida is the founder of the Earth Elders and a longtime advocate for Indigenous rights and sacred land protection. He's led programs at the Fountain and the Center for Earth Ethics and works closely with UNESCO on sacred sites and biocultural issues. Born in San Pedro Tultepec, Mexico, Mindahi is a caretaker of Otomi-Toltec traditions and has served as a ritual ceremony officer since 1988. He holds a doctorate in rural development, a master's in political science, and has written on Indigenous rights, traditional knowledge, and intercultural education. His most recent book is called Ancestors, A Divine Remembrance of Lineage, Relations, and Sacred Sites, and can be purchased online. Today, we're honored to have Mindahi with us to share his insights and wisdom. And now, to guide us through the conversation, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Michael Ben-Eli, who will be leading today's presentation alongside Mindahi Bastida. Hi, Dr. Michael Ben-Eli.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And of course, thank you, Mindahi. It's so wonderful to have you. Let's see, to get us into the right frame of mind and to acknowledge the significance of our conversation today, will you kindly perform a short opening ceremony?
I want to share with you the opening ceremony, short ceremony, but very deep and respectful, to call and acknowledge the spirits. Na, yoho, new. Isenwati maheti isenwati oka dimewa dini konkiki makihmu makata makame dini konkiki chalamui chalashudi dini konkiki timenya timetai. With the permission of the sacred elements of life, of Father Sky and the heart of Mother Earth, with the permission of an acknowledgement of the sacred elements of life, the sacred fire, sacred waters, sacred earth, and the sacred wind. And also acknowledging the deities and entities that are around this universe and this Mother Earth, to the Machi Kenya, to the feather serpent, and all manifestations of spirits that dwells in the mountains, in the waters, and all the spirits that dwells in the sacred sites around the world. May this gathering, may this presentation, may this interview with the Sustainability Laboratory be blessed, and also sending blessings and love to your hearts, to your family, to your territories, and to your nations, to your bioregional territories. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mindahi. We had a kind of a formal presentation of you by Liz, and it will be very nice if we can do something more personal. Perhaps you can tell us a little bit about growing up, the milestones in your early development, important inspirations, influences, mentors, and key events. What made you what you are today?
Yes, I was born in a small community surrounded by waters. It was an island. And this island was called Meshvi in the ancestral times. Later on, it was called Tultepec, from Tuli, bulrushes, and Tepetl, the hill. And it's the beginning of the longest river in Mexico, the Lerma River. And then Mexico City was very thirsty after the revolution, and the waters began to take another history, because the first aqueduct that was built in Mexico was to supply Mexico City first in the 40s, and then in the 50s, last century, the region suffered so much because the wetlands almost disappeared. From 45,000 hectares, we just have something like 3,200 hectares now. It means like 7%, a little bit more of 7% of the original wetlands. Plus the river was channelized, and it began to recollect just sewage and industrial waters, because in the 70s, last century, it became Toluca Valley became an industrial corridor. So I was born in that age at the end of the 60s, and I still remember how I was swimming in the river by the wetlands, the lakes. And at that time, we were already suffering the ecocide, let's say. But at the same time, I was one of the last children who received this special instruction from my grandfather, my grandmother, from my father's side, but also from my mother's side, that they are from another state, in Hidalgo state. But I come from a lineage, from healers, and also I was called by the wetlands and the milpas, the lands. And I grew up in that context, but also had to go to school and had to travel to Toluca City for my high school, but never forgot about this sacred connection with nature, with the waters. And we got a deity, very beautiful deity, Atlanchani, the mother of the waters. It's a mermaid, but instead of having fish tail, it's a serpent tail. So we honor her. And due to the imposition of religion of Christian Catholicism, we almost forgot about her and the beings that dwells in the waters. So I grew up in this world, but also meeting this other world, the Western way of thinking as well. And that's the context I was living and feeling. And I'm one of 10 children. So it was even more difficult to survive in those conditions. But we are here, and we are very happy to be here. And thanks for having me in this beautiful program.
Were there any individuals that had a particular importance in your development that inspired you in very strong ways?
Yes, I have had several mentors, but I can say that apart from my grandfather, my grandmother, my mother, and my father, there is this mentor who is the guardian of another volcano in Tlaxcala State. His name is Agustin Thai Ranchero Marquez, and he's been my mentor for several years. And also lately, one of my main mentors is Mamo Manuel Simongama, Coronado Simongama. He's a Kogi elder from Sierra Nevada, Santa Marta, and he's been in the cave for 36 years. And he's a sage elder. He's my mentor mainly, and I've been learning so much about the sacred connection with the spiritual world, and also with medicine, with good thinking and beautiful thinking, mostly.
What was the process of learning? How did you interact?
Well, the process of learning is that, first of all, that you are part of a community, a collective community. And then one of the things that always is very important is to be humble, and also to think that you are not just you as an individual, but you are a member of the collective community, and not just human community, but the community as a whole. The trees, the mountains, the rivers, the plants, the animals are just an extended family. They are our relatives. And beyond that, because the celestial bodies, they are also family. They are beautiful manifestations of how we perceive time and space, and how we are in this harmony with the universe. Not just with nature, but with the universe. Harmony with all what exists, and what we can feel also, what we cannot see also, but is there. That's the mystery where we live in.
So, we call this series of conversation addressing the sustainability challenge. And I was wondering, how is this current sustainability crisis that we face on the planet, how is it being interpreted through the eyes of indigenous tradition? How do indigenous traditions see what's going on?
Yes, first of all, the sustainability paradigm is a step forward, but it's not enough, because we have seen how ever since some decades, I remember I was in the Earth Summit myself, representing the young, and many beautiful people came together, presidents, ministers, lawmakers, activists, and many religious leaders, original peoples, sage elders came together to Rio de Janeiro. And it was the first time, I think, many people mobilized around how to rethink our place in the world as humans, how we should go from over extraction, over taking over, and to take care. And then this international regime gave birth to the sustainable development paradigm, but it's still based in this anthropocentric way where economics is very heavy. Because even though the law to protect the environment is very permissive, even the biodiversity the Convention on Biodiversity, the CBD, and the other conventions on climate change and the certification, especially the Convention on Biological Diversity, is based in this paradigm of steel extraction and very permissive, and that gave birth to the environmental ministries around the world. Mm-hmm. Because before there were not even, it was just a thing, resources. And so it is based still in this anthropocentric paradigm where humans are the ones who decide for other species, for other beings. So it was a step forwards, but it's not enough. So this crisis still continues, even giving care about some issues that we have produced. And this crisis is just the misconnection or the no application of the rules, of the laws. So what we think is a step forward, but it's not enough. Because even, when you read the definition or the conceptualization around sustainable development, it's always development. As based in the economics, not in the circular economics, but in the neoliberal economy, which is like the GDP never-ending story. Like if we had endless resources. So where the sacred elements like water is just another resource to be controlled, to be managed, and so on and so forth. So in our views is really we prefer to focus on actions that guide the change, and we, as the stewards, as the caretakers or caregivers, we have received these instructions from always, but lately from these Earth mandates. We were in Sierra Nevada, Santa Marta in the year 2013, and we received these Earth mandates that we need to acknowledge all humans, the spiritual authority of original nations and peoples, because we have this sacred relationship with nature. We have this sacred touch. So how are we going to damage the waters that give us life, or the mountains that give us life? So in the sustainable development paradigm, it's very different because yes, you can extract and you can think about how environmental is going to be sound, right, and how the social elements are included. It means there is an intergenerational equity, but thinking always about this anthropocentric thought, because in this case is what work we are delivering to future generations, just thinking about our children or human progeny. But in our ancestral wisdom is also that, but it's the other way around too. What generations we are delivering to this world? So you see, this is very important, and that's why we have begun the process of bringing together, going along with the prophecy of the eagle and the condor that we can talk later, bringing together 7 elders from the Americas to come together and really exchange this wisdom. And then we have achieved an extended council of 13 elders for the planet, the 7 plus 1 each from each continent. And we are working now to come together with 52 to represent key biocultural regions. So we can say that we have these air mandates, but one of the most important ones is that we should protect key biocultural sites. In the world we have really to understand that we don't separate nature and culture, meaning that we just don't talk about biodiversity, but we talk about biocultural diversity, biocultural memory, biocultural heritage. So the other important action that we are carrying out is to bring and build the notion of houses of original thinking, or the houses of knowledge, traditional knowledge, which includes ancestral wisdom and traditional ecological knowledge. And the third one is to contribute in the regeneration of biocultural territories, because as you know, we are losing so many species, but we are losing also languages. We are losing the possibilities of interpreting the world in a beautiful and very meaningful and deep way. This way of living, thinking, acting, but also feeling. And yes.
So with view of the enormous damage that human activity currently is inflicting on the planet, how does the indigenous worldview differ from the currently predominant Western mindset? How would you characterize the heart of the difference in those two worldviews? What are some of the core principles of the Otomi-Toltec and spiritual and ecological knowledge that you believe could guide the global transition towards sustainability? I guess perhaps the whole idea of the bien vivir comes into play here. Bien vivir, not only to live well, but also to live correctly. So what is the view of that correct way of life, and how does it differ from the way that we are used to?
Yes, I must say that there are differences in this approach, because to say it simple is one is to take over and extraction and competition, and the other way is to take care and collaborate and just to get what we need, no more than we need, and also give back. So in those actions, we are based in original principles. In some traditions, they call the original instructions. So the law of nature and the law of universe, which is beyond the laws that we have made upon the Constitution of Nation States. So, but rather than seeing differences now, we need to share that ancestral knowledge, how we can work together and collaborate together. So we think that the deeper question is how we can work together to create a vital change through shared understandings, through shared visions, and how we can collaborate ourselves in a way, in a moment that the crisis is so big, but also is big the opportunity. So in saying that, we say that we need to connect, or to be connected to our ancestral lineage and wisdom, because we hold as original nations and peoples original principles, including love. Using love is a principle, it's not just a noun. It's a principle that when you have this disposition, because when there is love, you give care, you take care, and there is a good feeling. And the other one of my favorite ones of these original principles and instructions is reciprocity. Because when you act in reciprocity, you just don't not just take, but give back. And that creates harmony, that creates balance. Not just among human beings, but mainly around other species, and most important, with this planet. So who we are without this planet? This is our mother. How we treat family, how we treat your mother. This mother nurtures us, and that's the reason we have this responsibility towards her, responsibility towards other species, responsibility towards our family, our communities, and so on. So then another principle is the collective dignity, because as I was saying earlier, as the individual per se doesn't exist. It exists in the rational mind, but we cannot exist without others. So that's the reason we are collective beings. And so we need to work together. And across bioregions, across biocultures, and bringing together the notions of other geographical areas, and bringing together the natural and cultural elements, so we can see that we share more than we are separated. So the main reason is that we can work together with the living systems and how we can learn from each other. And, we as the Earth Elders, and I invite you to reach out to us and to explore how we can advance these Earth mandates, how we can do it together, because it's not just our responsibility. It's well known that 80% of biodiversity in the world is in our lands, but it's not ours. We are the caretakers, caregivers, the stewards. But we are not just taking care about 80% of biodiversity. We are taking care about at least 80% of biocultural diversity, and more than that, because when we go and travel, we go and visit other areas, and when we pray for the whole Mother Earth. We take care, give care for this beautiful planet. So, yes, and if you want to know more about the Earth Elders, we have a link, theearthelders.org, and you can also collaborate with us in this effort. And that's the beauty of collaboration.
You mentioned principles of nature. I think to the typical Western mind, when you say principles of nature, they'll think about E equals mc square or the laws of thermodynamics and the first law. So you're talking about very different kind of laws. How, in 2 words, how would you characterize the difference?
Well, we think that we are more than rational beings. We are more than that, because we can understand the science behind, but remember, science is always, it has an intention, is to control. It's the dominion and domination way of being, so you can control even some experiments, but life is beyond the experiments. And there are the mystery itself is like in between the day and the night. There is mystery, and the mystery of life itself. So I could say, just in short terms, that we can complement. Science can really be used for the protection of life and for the flourishing of life, because there's science that also has damaged so much life systems. So the intention should persist about how we give care and take care of life.
So it's often said that we are, or kind of understood, that we are living in an epoch of great evolutionary transition. And that's a condition that implies death and rebirth, destruction and creation, separation and unification. Can you tell us more about the myth of the eagle and the condor and the coming together of the South and the North, and how you see the historical significance of that myth?
We live always in transition, always. But there are big transitions. And we believe that this is a big transition, because On May 3rd, 2013, the Mayan Olmec Otomi-Toltec calendar came to an end, one of the big cycles. And then we have 13 years of, let's say, of cleansing, of reconnection. And on May 3rd, 2026, this coming year, is going to begin another long account of the calendar, which means it's in alignment with the Eagle and the Condor prophecy, because the Eagle and the Condor prophecy talks about unification or reunion of the peoples of the North and the South, mainly of this continent of the Americas, but also from the East to the West, and the global North and the global South. So it means that also we need to rethink and remember who we are as human species and how we can take action once again in this unification process. Because separation has been a big issue, especially around colonization of many territories around the world. And this has created so much damage, so much separation. Now this is the time to consciously exert self-determination, because that's very important also as a principle. Because when you exert self-determination, is that you are responsible for your acts. And that's the mandate of the prophecy, because the prophecy is going to happen, but it depends on us. It's going to happen, but it depends on us how we are going to encounter this new time. And the new time that is coming depends on us also, because we are actors. We have, let's say, human agency. We have this way of kind of free will, but it's more than that, because we have the chance to meet our responsibilities. So the Eagle and the Condor also talks about how we can bring together science and traditional knowledge and wisdom, and how we can, harmonize. Because we believe that technology is not going to save us, can support us if it is good technology. As I was saying this about science. So the Eagle and the Condor tell us it like in an analogy that one of the most precious ancestral Shinto from the Earth Elders is telling us. It's like if we were flying in an airplane, it depends on us how the landing is going to be. If it's going to be crash landing, bumping landing, or soft landing. So this is what is happening, and we are already are seeing things around the world, the fires, the floods, etc. And we have been thinking about that, carrying out meditations and also thinking how we are going to encounter the new dawn, how we are going to encounter this, or the process of this prophecy of the Eagle and the Condor. And we believe that we are going to encounter the three types. For some people, it's going to be a crash landing. For some others, it's going to be a bumping landing. And for some others that have been doing the work with this mother, with the celestial bodies, it's going to be a soft landing. It's not the first time.
We hope so. So, you've written a book about the ancestors, the view of ancestors from the indigenous tradition, and the concept of ancestors in wisdom tradition extend way beyond the idea of a family lineage, to include basically everything that preceded us. I think this is a fantastic view of things that opens up immense possibilities. So can you explore with us the meaning and the deeper significance of the concepts of ancestors?
ancestors are beyond our imagination, because the ancestors are, they have access to, in the thinking, thousands and millions of years, immemorial time. So ancestors are not just our lineage, family, but ancestors are the mountains, our ancestors are the rivers, the caves, ancestors are the sea, and the volcanoes, and the plants, and the other animals that preceded us. So just imagine the sun and the moon, they were beyond millions of years. They are our ancestors as well. So that's the reason when we arrive, we visit other places, we also need to acknowledge the ancestors around. But the beauty of this is also that we need to honor our lineage ancestors, because we need to know where we come from. What are our roots? What is our culture? What is our connection with the land, with the sky, with the waters? Because we are the reflection of those ancestors. And actually we are becoming ancestors. You see how this is so beautiful, because it's the complexity of mystery. So we are not alone in this world. And we have been never alone, as we always have to the deepest of connections, where we are in touch with mystery, the sacred energy that gives us life. And as I was telling you, we are becoming ancestors because we are the continuum of this energy, this progeny that, and the sacred relationship with all what exists, all what we can see and we cannot see, because we are more than matter. We are energy and we are spirit. So by acknowledging the sacred elements that reflect us in the material world, you know, we call them sacred elements because they give us, they nurture us. We have in our own body the water. In our own body we have the earth through the food we have, and also the fire because of heart and blood. It's fire. But we also have the air, the sacred air. When we inhale and exhale, we also have those. So we are the reflection of these sacred elements. Without one of them, we cannot make it as we are as humans. Even those even the rocks, they are the synthesis of all those sacred elements. So this is the connection to our deeper roots.
That's obviously relates to the very strong idea that is gaining momentum now of giving personification and even legal status to things like the rivers and the lakes and the mountains and the other forms of life and so forth. And it's fascinating to me because, you know, it seems to not link directly, but echo the Buddhist concept of what a bodhisattva is, someone that expands his consciousness beyond the ego to all sentient beings at the end, to everything that exists. And I think that image, it's so important for it to become at the heart of how we build our future, how we build the economy, how we build everything else. So let's move to another topic that is very interesting there, and that's the whole idea of sacred sites around the planet, that there are locations, the sacred sites. And can you tell us about the planet's sacred sites?
Yes.
And their significance, again, from the viewpoint of your tradition.
You know, when we talk about sacredness is reverence. It's a way of giving care, and also to have some intention to really to have this sacred contact. As I was saying, reverence is a way when you really love somebody. And I can give you an analogy. Like in our bodies, this planet is sacred, and everything, what we see should be sacred. But there are even more vital places in our bodies, like the heart, or like any other organ that is very important, like the eyes. So if you could live without one arm, but not without heart. So those are the energetic points. So the sacred sites are essential places where energy is transmitted for us, all of us, for all species. That because we exist in this world. We exist in this world because of those sacred sites. Sacred sites are energetic places where energy is produced so we can flourish. And then, of course, in reciprocity, they need protection. And that's the reason some sacred sites are very holy places where people go and carry out pilgrimages, they carry out ceremonies in different ways. Different religions do that. But the original peoples, most of us, we carry out pilgrimages to those sacred places, and we also carry out ceremonies, rituals, to acknowledge and protect them.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one of the mountains nearby my community. We used to, we go very often, but we were said that we cannot even extract a little rock or a plant because it's fundamental for the sacred site to be there. But what is happening now? Mining, urban sprawl, the imposition of other religions on top of those sacred sites have been desecrating those sacred sites. And it's affecting us. And that's the reason we are not in harmony, and we are let's say, what is happening in the world, out of balance. And that's the reason this crisis is just a manifestation of lack of respect, lack of responsibility. So these sacred sites need protection, and they need care, and they need also contribution through ceremonies, through rituals, but also through these laws. You were talking about rights of nature before, but even rights of nature is a good step forward, but it's not enough. It's like the sustainable development paradigm, which is still anthropocentric, because we are giving rights to other beings. They are beings, but it's very important to acknowledge other beings who have rights to exist. But the Earth jurisprudence, this is about inherent rights, the rights of the universe, the law of the universe, that they exist because they are previous to our existence in this world. So the sacred sites are very important, and there are major sacred sites, as I was telling you with the analogy with the body, in the world. And there are, more continental sacred sites, more local bioregional sacred sites, and all of them, they need reciprocity. They need to be taken care of, especially from the human activity, because other species, they respect more than we do. They carry out their functions. A butterfly is not going to damage so much the environment as we do. Or there are other species that they misbehave as well as humans, but because we have allowed for it, because we have, let's say, produced this lack of balance, so plagues and others come and try to put in again this harmony. Anyway, these sacred sites are the energetic map that bring us together, the energy that the material world needs to be sustained in the continental masses, to sustain the waters of the planet, the connection to the sky and the cosmos, and it's vital for all us to deeply know our lineage from our human family to our original lands, water, sacred sites, and the cosmos. So sacred sites are very relevant, and we need to reconnect with them as humans.
Are there any efforts out there to try and formally recognize sacred sites and protect them around the world?
Yes, I must tell you that in 2014 I became, for UNESCO, I became a consultant to produce the very first draft to protect sacred sites around the world. But just imagine that the first concept was spiritual reserves for humanity. So very anthropocentric, right? So I was discussing with the officials of UNESCO this is not right, because not everything is for human beings, it's for all species. So I was saying, let's just name them sacred sites. And not just sacred sites, but biocultural sacred sites. Because even if it's more a natural sacred site or more a cultural sacred site, both are biocultural. Because it's in the interrelationship that we have. Even if it is a volcano, the volcano got a name. And that name was even, maybe some people gave the name, but maybe not. Maybe the volcano gave the name through dream time. That's how it happens. Well, anyway, so there are efforts to carry out an international regime to protect sacred sites, but it's very slow. Plus, through UNESCO is not the best way to protect sacred sites, because it depends on nation states' policies.
Yeah.
As you know, like the biosphere and the natural protected areas, and so on and so forth. So we are still analyzing and thinking about how to bring together a legal team and also discuss about that. But I want to say that in some countries they have advanced about sacred sites, and one of the main examples is the Uluru. Uluru in Australia is now protected as sacred site. It's in the middle of the desert. It's a very powerful sacred site. It's not just for Australia, but it's a major sacred site for the world. And just the natives, the aboriginals, they can carry out ceremony and they can enter and they can climb the sacred mountain. But the tourists, they are not allowed to climb and do whatever they were doing before, because they don't even know how to speak with the spirits. They don't even know how to give reverence to those spirits who dwell over there. So it's an advancement. And also through rights of nature, some rivers, which are sacred, are also being protected. In Mexico, we have also some policies that are also protecting some sacred sites. Like before, you could climb, for example, the pyramid of Chichen Itza or the pyramids of Teotihuacan. You cannot anymore, because they are sacred as well, and if there's special ritual or for scientific studies, it's allowed, but with a lot of respect. So this is happening, and this is in progress, the protection of sacred sites with the laws as an international regime. But I think it's going to take time.
You mentioned in that relation rituals. And can we speak a little bit about the importance of rituals and why they're so significant, why it's important to perform them, what they signify. What strikes me as a wonderful aspect of that idea of ritual is that whole concept of reciprocity.
Yes.
And that acknowledgement of the reciprocity. And if you think about it, that reciprocity is a circular process. And that's, of course, at the heart of what people talk today about the circular economy, but misunderstanding, I think, in many cases, that connection. So please, let's explore that a little bit.
Rituals is always a way of remembering that we are not only matter, but we are spiritual beings. That we transcend with a ritual, this touch with mystery, and it's a way of giving thanks, it's a way of reciprocating with life. So rituals are always a way to connect or reconnect with the spaces and with the time and space where we live. Because when you carry out a ritual, it's a way of an acknowledgement from ourselves to other beings, especially to the deities and entities and to the great spirits, or the great spirit. So ceremonies are very important in our life, in all cultures, all ages, and it's a way of giving thanks. But here is very important how we carry out these rituals. And what are the reasons to carry out those rituals? There must be an intention. So in all rituals we have offerings, a list. In some rituals, ceremonies, we have also offerings, but offerings that are called payments.
Mm-hmm.
And payments is a little bit higher understanding of an offering. Because I'm going to put just a simple example. An offering can be something that you acquire with not so much effort. Let's say you are going to offer some flowers. They are still beautiful and so on and so on. But if it's a payment, you need to take care and give care, cultivate those flowers. Or go to the mountain and really bring them and carry out and ask permission to deliver those flowers to the sacred sites. The same with the tobacco, the same with with incense or other precious stones. It's not the same as you buy them, as you carry out more effort. And there are even other type of payments that are more significant because they are very difficult to take to get them, but also the intention that you put. So these offerings and those payments are very important because it's how we are in touch with the spirits in this sacredness. It doesn't matter what religion, but it's very important that connection or sacred connection with the deities, the entities in other religions, the saints or the illuminated beings that came to gave teachings to the people how to behave, how to walk in this beautiful planet, and the connection that we must carry out.
You mentioned earlier working with elders of other indigenous groups. Can you tell us a little bit about these experiences with other elders, other indigenous groups? For example, the 5 Earth mandates that you came up with and so on.
Yes, it's been at the beginning, very challenging because, we have been separated for so many years due to the colonization and separation. and because we also lost many cultural and spiritual practices, but now we are learning from each other. So the experience is to also how we learn from others and others learn from us. And this is what we call the unification process. And this is all encompassed by the eagle and the condor prophecy, because how we come together, and even with difficulties that it represents, because now it's sometimes it's very difficult to even have access to a visa to enter to other territories that are even sometimes in the same people. You know, the Mayans live not just in Mexico, they live in Guatemala, but before it was a nation, before it was a big people. The same happened in many borders around the world. You know, in Russia with, with some places around China and others with Mongolia, they were divided. These peoples in Africa as well, you know, in Congo and Sudan and many other places. So what I'm saying is that, yes, now there's an effort to come together and how we are learning. So the Earth Elders, we are learning on how we are receiving these instructions beyond human agency, beyond human thought, because these are the instructions of the universe, and how we are being said how we can make it together, because together we are stronger and we can learn how to live in harmony and in action, in regeneration, because we have lost so much that we need to regenerate ourselves, not just around us, but in ourselves, how we can think beautifully, because we also need to act and feel. And it's very important, because there are some religions that they say that we came here to suffer. It's not just that. We came here to also enjoy life and to be happy. And to be happy is just with good thinking, good thoughts, clean ideas in action.
You know, I think I'd like to open up the session for questions from some of our audience. But before I do that, one other question that I want to raise, and that is how can an individual, a secular individual, embrace lessons from indigenous wisdom tradition? How can people, and in particular youth, young people, be empowered to carry forward ancestral wisdom in a modern world?
Yes, there is always many chances to connect and reconnect. First of all, we need to search about our lineages, who we are, where we come from. Even if we are a mix of different cultures, but there is always a connection with the roots, who we are. Because we are coming from different nations and cultures, but we have that possibility of reconnecting with the lands of our ancestors, with the beings of these lands, of that bioregion. So that's very beautiful. But just in general, I want to share with you what my grandfather and my grandmother from my father's side taught me, and even my mother also, because they were healers. And he said, just the people who don't realize that the sun is so important, they never see sunrise. So I can tell you, those are the most important moments that you can receive that beautiful feeling, energy. So always when you have a chance, and I was seeing him every day, at sunrise, he was just witnessing that moment, at noon and at sunset. Later on, I learned more other, even sacred and secret knowledge about that. What I can tell you to the people, to you, anybody in the world, that at least you can put your alarm for the sunrise, for the noon and the sunset, at least. And just, even if you don't say anything, just acknowledge the moment. That's a way of reconnection. That's a way of really feeling those moments. And then you begin to explore time and space, because we must live in this world regarding also time and space where we are. So that's the reason this 5-year mandate about establishing council for Earth stewardship is very important. But also the protection of sacred sites, I was telling you, and the creation of the houses of original thought, or the traditional houses or centers of traditional knowledge, where we can bring elders and young generations, but also allies, people who want to understand the original ways of living, acting, and feeling. Because dance, music, and all expressions in life are so important. And I was said, for example, that if we have this feet, it's for walking, not just for sitting. You know, if we have these eyes, it's to witness, to watch, and not just to see the devices or to watch the devices, but to explore the beauty of life. So, and this other fourth mandate is the intercultural dialogue, intercultural exchange. And you were talking about circular economy. It's all about that.
Yeah.
How we can exchange, how we can learn from each other. And that's the reason we are delivering these messages to the international fora, participating at the UN meetings, the World Economic Forum, so we can build hearts, and we can exchange with others to understand why they are doing this, and how we can come to harmony. And then, the most difficult one is the protection of and regeneration of biocultural territories, because we are losing so much. As I was telling you, not just animals and plants, but also ancestral wisdom, how we can come together and how we can behave. And for that, we need international regime also to protect diversity. And we call this unity in the diversity. And that's the most beautiful manifestation of life. Because I can explain to you that we have a rainbow, right? And the rainbow is so powerful in our cosmovisions, because the rainbow is like the sacred covenant between the sky and the earth. But what happens if a color is lacking? If a color is lacking, there is no rainbow. And we humans, we are rainbows as well.
Mindahi, it feels appropriate to end with a brief meditation. Can you offer a closing prayer, a closing small ritual for us, for the whole of humanity, for the planet, the good and its life force, and the well-being of all?
Yes, na yoho nyu. Nangingu. 50 shimo ikibupu. Nangingu. 50 shimo ikibupu. Nangingu. 50 shimo ikibupu. Hey! Oh, ho, 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 ho. May you be blessed, yourself, your family, your territory, all who you represent, all who you are. Blessings to you all, and your beautiful manifestation, who you are in this world. Mochigintini kwada, mochigintini ku. Diniki, onkiki, diniki onkiki, diniki onkiki. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mindahi. That was really a great session. I hope we didn't held you for too long a time. I look forward to be in touch with you and continue our own conversation. Thank you, everyone who joined, and we look forward to seeing you on the next conversation. Thank you and good night. Bye.